Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is hautemesstom and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you are new to my channel is all about loving my collection as we currently are, being critical of new makeup releases, and then being also very considerate of what types of items we are bringing into our collection. Today we're going to do another episode of Critical Sass. Critical Sass is my new releases video where I talk about some upcoming makeup releases. I don't think today's video is going to be extraordinarily long, but I do get verbose. If you are new here, I would love to have you subscribe. You also can like this video. Those two things are free, and I'm also on Patreon if you would like to support me there. That's linked in my description box down below. All right, let's talk about some new makeup releases. Now, I feel like there both is a lot, but like also like nothing I really wanted to talk about. So it's kind of like there are releases happening, and then but my interest in even talking about them in any capacity is like much smaller than usual, so we might zoom past quite a few. So I'm not expecting this to be a particularly long video today, but who knows? Who knows with me? Who knows? Honestly, I don't even know. Album of the day, Bjork's Post. I will link down to a place where you could purchase that if you were interested in it, or check it out on Spotify or Apple Music if you've never listened to Bjork's Post. I highly recommend it. The first thing I pulled up is from Tammy Tanuka. So Tammy Tanuka is releasing a Royal Peacock with Degree eyeshadow palette. Now, here's why I find this interesting. I think this is so smart. The brand is releasing two sizes of the palette. Genius. So there's a mini size and there's a large size. I love the idea of things also coming in a mini size, because if you think about it realistically, especially for people who aren't minimalists with their makeup, having the option to choose the smaller size is like we're adding some newness to our collection, but we're not adding like an incredible amount of bulk and an eyeshadow we're never going to get through. Because I think if you are someone who wears makeup, you know how hard it is to work your way through an entire eyeshadow. So I love the idea that this is being optioned in two sizes. I love that. I love that. Beyond, that's really what I wanted to talk about. Just I think it's so smart for the brand Tammy Tanuka to do that. I also believe Tammy Tanuka is an Etsy brand, but I could be wrong about that. Looks like there's a duo or multi-chrome in there, and it looks very beautiful. The matte, there's like one matte, and it's like a beautiful taupe, and then all of the other things in there. It just looks, honestly, for something being inspired by Peacock, where you could have like done way too many colors, I think they chose just the right amount of colors. I don't know. I think this is like a really concise way to have done this, and I think that's very smart. And the large is $32, the mini is $18 with change, but I just, for the sake of this, 18 and 32. I think this is so smart. Like, I almost want to support and buy this because I want other brands to like do this with the smaller size and the larger size, because maybe if you're not someone who has a lot of makeup, you want to buy the full size because like that's the palette you're going to use all the time, and that's very cool, very cool. But for someone like me, like when Viseart releases the palettes with the really small pans, I'm like, oh, perfect. That's like the perfect sizing. I know I'm not going to get through it. And even if I do get through it, it's still going to take me a really long time. And I'm going to enjoy the palette the same amount I would if it was a large size. So I'm very, very into this. Would like to see it. Also, Tammy Tanuka, I've heard good things about, but I've not tried the brand personally. Trixie Cosmetics is doing a collaboration with Shrinkle. If you don't know who Shrinkle is, Shrinkle owns Sugar Pill. And a while back, Sugar Pill and just regular Trixie Mattel, they did like a Oh Honey palette, which is like I think like a catchphrase that Trixie has. And that was very popular. It was wildly popular. And I remember like that being like one of the things that Sugar Pill released that like really sold out quite fast, because Trixie Mattel is a powerhouse in the drag industry and the drag world, and just like the art world in general. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. So I guess I like both think it's really interesting and weird and cool, like when like a brand overlaps. Now obviously it's not like a Sugar Pill Trixie Cosmetics overlap, but it is, to me, like Shrinkle really is the brand of Sugar Pill. I don't know if they like feel that way themselves, but I feel that they represent the whole brand. Like they are the brand of Sugar Pill. And so I think it's just very interesting that these two brands are like colliding. Anyway, it's just lip glosses, which is fine. There's like a red one. It's called Heartcore. There's Baby Woman, which I don't love the name of that. And Angel Cat. They look fine. They look like perfectly beautiful glosses, but I don't know. I don't know what I would have wanted from this collaboration, but like 3 lip glosses is like, I guess not it. Like maybe like a really fun quad would have been fun, or maybe like a quad with the lip glosses, but I just feel like the lip glosses being released as a collection is underwhelming. It would be one thing if like Trixie Cosmetics released a full line of lip glosses all at once, where like, we are releasing 20 shades of our lip gloss, whatever. Like that's like a release to me, but like 3 lip glosses is like, is that a launch? Like, is it a launch, or is it like something you could have done quietly? So, I don't know. I guess I just think because of the progressiveness of Sugar Pill and the colorfulness of Sugar Pill and the inventiveness and like the playing around in makeup that Sugar Pill encourages, this feels really lackluster. And I also feel like Trixie's brand also encourages playing with your makeup in ways you may not have originally explored your makeup. So just for the 2 brands to line up, and like the most exciting thing is like a fully pigmented red lip gloss, it's like, I don't know, I'm gonna need like more than that. Like, I don't know, so I'm very underwhelmed. I am waiting for Trixie to release something that makes me go, yes, but this certainly isn't it. This is another thing where we're going to talk about the greater ramifications of this. Fenty is going to also now be sold in Ulta. Well, it's like, it's Trend Mood released this. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is very likely to happen if Trend Mood's reporting on it and it wasn't being told to be taken down. But so let's do this more as a hypothetical, like an allegedly situation. Let's talk about this. Now, Fenty Beauty was a brand that did very well when I worked at Sephora. We moved a lot of it. Also, it was a brand that we thought of, like, it was always kind of a brand that was at the forefront of your mind. When someone was asking for something, you'd be like, does Fenty have that? Does this have that? Does that have that? Do you know what I mean? Like, there was kind of like a hierarchy in which you would think of things. And like when you were going like brand by brand, Fenty was always a brand that was like, I think at the forefront of all of our minds whenever we were talking to a client about whatever. Like if someone was like, I want lip gloss, I'd be like, oh, the Gloss Bomb. Like the Gloss Bomb is where it's at. I think you're gonna like the Gloss Bomb. But there are so many other beautiful lip glosses that Sephora carries. Anyway, I think this is a really bad sign for Sephora, with Chanel now also being carried in Ulta, and now Fenty Beauty also being carried in Ulta. Like, this originally happened with the KVD brand being sold at Ulta, but KVD is a brand that has like an unfortunate history, and they are still sorting out like what that needs to look like moving forward, and I don't think they've quite captured it yet. I think the balm that they released last year that did kind of go viral, like, was a very good start for them, even though it was a very polarizing product. We got people talking about them again. And so I think that sets a good foot for like whatever is to come next. It just is like what is next for KVD, because I don't think they're really doing that well with their eyeshadow palettes, but the Dazzle sticks seem to be doing really well, and you know, other things seem to be doing really well for them. So when KVD moved to Ulta, or like is now being sold at Ulta, not really taking a lot of business from Sephora that they were, you know, I think the one thing that KVD's brand always sells well is the eyeliner. And people really like the Lock-It powder, and some people really like the Lock-It foundation. But I would say like the powder and the eyeliner were the things that I was helping with people most whenever I was in the KVD section. But like I just said, Fenty took a lot of focus from all of us. Like, we all were very focused on Fenty, very interested in what Fenty is doing. I think even on the internet, when Fenty releases something, we are kind of all like, what is that? So I think with Ulta being a brand, like a store that could potentially carry Fenty, it's not looking good for Sephora. And I'm saying that I was talking to another former coworker of mine, like someone who used to work for the brand, and we were like kind of discussing what we see for Sephora. This is what I foresee. I think that Sephora is soon going to be storefronts in major cities only, like New York, Chicago, LA, and maybe some other select larger cities throughout the country. And then it's all going to be online. Like, I foresee that for the brand, because the reputation that Sephora has cultivated for itself over time has been like non-inclusive and snobby, and that the people who work there don't want to help you. This is a reputation that they have built, and also that they have not spent a lot of time combating against. They've tried to combat against with a couple, you know, advertising programs that they were doing, but I just don't think that was successful. Like, so I honestly, it's on Sephora that this is all happening. It should what I foresee actually happen, but I think it's bad news bears. If there are, like, if Pat McGrath would start being sold at Ulta, I would say, like, Sephora is really on its way out. And, like, the other thought should be, like, why are brands choosing to work with Ulta as well? I'm going to guess that maybe Ulta, you don't have to pay as much to get your brand inside of the stores. So, like, to get shelving space inside of Ulta's is probably less expensive than it is to have your brand stocked in a Sephora. And people really like the self-service of Ulta, and so people are going to, like, explore the brand on their own without the assistance of someone who works there. I don't know. I don't know. This feels really interesting and feels very weird, and it feels like a big shift, because if Sephora had exclusive rights to brands like Marc Jacobs and Fenty and, you know, KVD, like, what's to say that Rare Beauty is not going to be the next one that's going to be sold in both, or like Makeup by Mario? And also, I would say, like, Rare might be, if it's the Rare is the best bets for Sephora to keep as an exclusive, because I don't think people care as much about Makeup by Mario or One Size. Honestly, the fact that One Size is even still around is, like, shocking to me. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. I think that's bad news bears for Sephora, but cool that you'll be able to buy Fenty at Ulta, especially if you like their reward system and you use their reward system and you're a fan of Fenty. This is only good news for you. So that's kind of exciting. Charlotte Tilbury is releasing Matte Eyes to Mesmerize. And so it comes in a couple of different colors, like I think 5, 34 dull hairs. Now, I've never bought the Eyes to Mesmerize before, and I talked kind of ad nauseum about how, like, Charlotte Tilbury is a brand that I, like, not keen on overall, like, not a brand that I really am interested in supporting or talking about on my channel. But I don't know. Buy a MAC paint pot. Like, I don't know how much the formula is going to be different than what you're going to get from Charlotte Tilbury. Even the packaging, like, MAC paint pots, they come in a glass jar. So it's not, if these come in a glass jar with a plastic lid, same packaging. The jars look smaller than a paint pot. And if you, paint pots I think are about $20. I don't know their exact price off of the top of my head. So they're less expensive than this, more accessible. I don't think you need this. I don't know. I can understand and appreciate, like, rounding out the range, but, like, this is not an exciting launch. I know there are people who are going to be excited about this, but I do feel like I'd be more willing to buy an Eyes to Mesmerize in, like, a shimmer or metallic formula, and to get, like, a very special formula with a lot of shimmer in it. But I'm not going to spend the extra money for a matte formula where I could just get a MAC paint pot. And I do believe that there are other brands that have cream potted shadows at even more accessible price points than MAC that probably work just as well as even the MAC ones. So I don't know. This is, like, a bit of a miss for me, but the product looks beautiful. I'm sure it works well. I know that Charlotte Tilbury, for the most part, people seem to really like her formulas. Just stay away from the skincare. That's, like, that isn't it. This isn't really exciting, but I do want to talk about this. So Beauty Blender is releasing, like, a new color changing sponge. And the reason I want to talk about this is that it actually says Wet Me on it. They should have been doing that from the start. And I'm going to tell you why. So I cannot tell you the amount of times where someone was coming into Sephora to buy a beauty sponge. And I'm going to just use that in general. Like, I'm going to say, like, a beauty sponge in general, where I would show them something and I'd be like, they'd be like, how does this one work? And you'd be like, oh, just like if you're already using a makeup sponge, like, you're just going to dampen it like you normally will, like, squeeze out most of the all of the excess water just so your sponge is, like, slightly damp. And they would look at me like, no, I don't do that. And I would go, oh, it's like, that's very firm to be, like, bouncing off of your face repetitively. And they were like, yeah, it always has felt a little bit wrong. And I would be like, I'm not gonna say it's wrong. I know that there are people who use them dry, but whenever you're telling people that like kind of the intended purpose is for them to be a little bit dampened, and they have never even tried that, like it'd be one thing if they were like, yeah, I tried it wet, I prefer to use it while it's dry. That'd be one thing, but they were just shocked that you should be wetting the sponge or that it was something that it could do. So I just think that that is smart that they are finally putting like directly on the sponge to dampen it, because you know no one's reading that little like fold out thing that comes with a beauty sponge, like the beauty blender. So I mean, whatever. It's like yellow to orange, which is like innovating. You know, whoa, crazy. That's not really why I'm talking about it. I just think it was smart of them to put Wet Me on it. That was all I really wanted to talk about. So maybe other beauty sponges, take note. And I hope Beauty Blender actually puts that on, like as they continue to make them, puts that on all of their sponges. I just think that's smart. Chantecaille is releasing the collection Giraffe. So there's a Giraffe Eye Quartet with 4 earth-toned neutrals. And then there are 4 lip cheeks. Let's talk about this. I think that this little petite palette is gorgeous. I think it's so stunning. Is it the most exciting? Is it revolutionary? No. But I can see so many people getting incredible use out of it. Like if this was their only little quad that they kept in their purse, took out, touched up, took out, or took on trips with them, I just think it's the perfect little quad. There is like, I do think a little bit of this whenever I think about Chantecaille is that I don't know how well this would show up on deeper skin tones. It definitely looks like it would show up more than the quartet that I have from Chantecaille. But here's why I love the idea of this. Chantecaille eyeshadows are incredibly easy to work with. They have pigmentation, but not too much pigmentation. You kind of just swipe it on the eye, and that's like it. Like there's like not even that much blending you have to do. They just work so beautifully, and the shimmers are so subtle but yet effective. So no, this isn't for someone who like loves doing a cut crease or anything like that, but it is for someone who doesn't want to put a lot of work into their eyeshadow, wants a very clean, simple, natural look. This is it. It's right here. And I'm in my brain, I don't need this. And it's like, I don't really want to use my budget to purchase this, but I do want it. Like it does sit in a wanting place. Like it's going to get added to the list. Again, I know I don't need this, but I think it's beautiful. I love that it looks, I like that the silver packaging kind of almost like tricks my brain into thinking that it is like more cool toned than it is. It just is pretty. It's very pretty. I'm not gonna lie, I really like it. And I know that some of you are gonna disagree with me and call it very boring, and I also agree with you that it is not an exciting palette, but I like it. Doesn't mean I don't like it. I can love a basic bitch palette. I love a boring ass bitch palette. Now you can miss me with the lip cheeks. They're terrible. I actually really hate the lip cheeks. I would not recommend them. Other people seem to like them, but I like an expensive moment, but those are too expensive for what they are. I would not buy them again. KVD is releasing a line of concealers. It's part of the Good Apple family, so it is part of the Balms family. There are 32 shades, $28 each. The packaging is weird. Now, I think it's really sleek. However, it does appear as if there is a dropper squeezy thing on the top. But there is a doe foot applicator. So at first when I saw them, I was like, I do not want a concealer that I have to drip out of a container. Like that is certainly not happening. I'm kind of questioning the choice to make the packaging look like that. It kind of looks like a nipple for no reason. Now, if it was a squeezy thing, then I guess I wouldn't have a problem with it, but it doesn't seem to serve a purpose other than to make it a different shape than other concealers. I'm reading the description that has been provided from Trendmood. Full coverage, long wear, lightweight, hydrated skin-like finish. No, I don't know. It doesn't say anything about it. It says the applicator. So the applicator is at an angled shape to be like the pad of your finger. That's fine and all, except I'm not going to use the doe foot applicator to blend out the product. I have a brush that's shaped like that. Like in Rare Beauty sells brushes for their complexion stuff that has that like shape. I don't know that I need that to be like the shape of my doe foot, but I mean, I'd be interested to try it. It looks like we have a nice gradient going here as far as shades go. So I'd be keen to hear about this. It's not getting like added to my list as a concealer that I'm going to run out and buy. If it gets released and people really like it, then I will probably try it at some point, but it's not something I'm running out to buy now. I do think they needed a real big revamp on their concealer. They had like a serum concealer for a while and it came in like 10 shades. It was like nothing. It made no sense because everything in that brand is like so full coverage. For them to have like a serum lightweight concealer, I was just like, I don't understand this. So I think this was a smart move on their part. It does seem like KVD seems to be rounding out the brand with some very good core products. I can't wait till KVD starts making things for play, because I think that when Kat Von D was in her prime running the brand, there was a lot of inventive things happening with the brand. Like the Dazzle Sticks, I think, are like a good example of what I mean. But, you know, whenever that triangularly shaped thing, the Alchemist palette released, like that was very cool. The Saint and Sinner palette, that seemed really revolutionary. The Mi Vida Loca, like there was like a lot of stuff, like the Metal Crush stuff, which I wasn't a fan of, but like at least it was like we were trying something. Like you could kind of go to Kat Von D to like see some interesting things. They had like the Glimmer Lip Topper. I remember at one point I had like a glitter liquid eyeliner from the brand. So like even though that like not everything was successful, I hope that these solid base products that KVD is releasing means that they can get the funding and resources to start making things for fun. And I would love to see whatever that looks like. This is gonna sound so funny if you've watched any of my content and if you know how I normally talk about this. So e.l.f. Cosmetics is releasing a cookies and cream collection. And it is inspired by the rich hues and deliciousness of cookies and cream ice cream. It includes a eyeshadow palette for $9, a lip exfoliator for $5, eyeshadow sticks for $5, an overnight mask for $9, the putty primer that has a cookies and cream scent. I would say don't do that, but okay, let me just talk about the things I want to talk about. So I have shit talked the color blue as an eyeshadow shade for a very long time. Like, it's not my favorite. However, I'm gonna go ahead and say that e.l.f. did a beautiful job with this blue, black, brown. This looks elegant. Like, besides the packaging it's in, if Viseart sold this color story, I would also think that it looked elegant. It looks really elegant. And I have heard that like e.l.f. eyeshadows can be hit or miss. So I hope that this has the formula that the bite-sized palettes that people seem to really like has. I would love that to be the case because I think this is really pretty. And if I were going to do blue, this would be a beautiful way to do it. Like, I'm almost like, should I try this for $9? Like, should I pick this up? But it would get lost in the sauce in my collection. And I'm not that inspired by this color story to want it or even recreate it with my collection. And I don't know that I actually could. Like, I don't have a lot of blues. I'm sure I can make something interesting, but it would be like not as elegant as I feel like the shades that e.l.f. has put together for this collection. And I can't believe that I'm like saying this, that like 1, it's e.l.f. and then 2, I'm calling it elegant, and then 3, it's a blue eyeshadow. I think it's really nice. I think it's really pretty. And the swatches look really, look good. I mean, there are branding swatches. That lip scrub looks terrifying. The lip oils or whatever. But I do think that also the shades chosen for the eye crayon, elegant, beautiful, really, really nice. I would stay away from the putty primer. That sounds like a bad idea. Like, let's not do that. So congratulations to e.l.f. You've got me thinking about you in a way that I haven't in a very long time. I think this palette is gorgeous. I'm like not embarrassed. I'm just like shocked. I'm shocked. I saw it without the branding. So I just saw like with the palette open and I was like, oh wow, that is gorgeous. And then I found out it was e.l.f. and I was like, damn, e.l.f. Damn. But speaking of Fenty, is releasing the Lemon Lava Gloss Bomb Heat Shade. It's clear with a gold shimmer. I do think that this is very pretty. I think it released on the 14th, so it's been out for a second. I think it's really pretty. I have not tried the Fenty Gloss Bomb Heat formula. I like the original Gloss Bomb quite a bit. I don't have anything that has like a gold shift. Now that I'm talking to this, I'm like, I might want to buy this. I love a lip plumper. This is pretty. Okay. I'm actually very into the idea of this. Have any of you tried the Heat? How is it? I like an intense plump. I don't mind that my lips feel like they're on fire. Like, I'm very into that. I don't know if it's because I'm a masochist or what, but I really like it. So let me know what your thoughts are on this formula if any of you have tried it in the comments down below. I'm thinking about it. Interesting. Continuing on with Fenty. Fenty has the audacity to release 2 additional shades to that clip-on fucking gloss bomb shit that they tried to pull in the pandemic. We're still in the pandemic. I did not want this. I don't know who wants this. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to see it. It sounds grossy and gunky and ew, ew, ew. But the fact that they made more shades leads me to believe that people are buying this enough for them to go, it makes sense for us to put this out in more shades. And that is what I'm concerned about. That is what I'm concerned about. Who is buying this? Who is it? Who's buying this? Tell me. Someone tell me. Obviously, a hard pass for me. Continuing on. Danessa Myricks released 2 the Dewy Cheek and Lip Palettes. And so, this is from Trendmood. A skin-loving Ultra Luxe Cheek and Lip Cream palette filled with 4 multi-use shades, ideal for all skin tones. They look too dewy. So there's Do It Flirty, which seems to be more of like a blush situation. And then there's Do It Undercover, which seems to be more of like your contouring situation. Not that you can't use those shades as blushes, because I love a brownie orangey blush. So I'm very into that. The problem with the Do It Undercover, which is the one with like the contouring shades, is that it's too much of a range. Like, it's too much of a, I'm never going to use all of those shades. This feels very pro makeup artist to me. This feels like that would be in someone's kit. It does not feel like consumer makeup to me. Now, the Do It Flirty, which seems to be more of the blushes situation, feels like it could be more consumer friendly, but, and I like a dewy finish. I think you guys have seen that on my channel, that I really like, even though I like have oily skin, that I really like a finish that leaves my skin glowing, leaves my skin looking healthy, leaves my skin looking alive. But I do think if I use these, this would just fall off my face. That's what it looks like. I don't know. I don't even want to watch the future of these with any kind of great interest. Like, I look at the looks and I'm like, that is kind of pretty, but it feels editorial to me. It doesn't feel like I don't know, I wouldn't want to put this on and wear it all day. If I was going to use this, I'd put it on for a video to wear it for the video, or I'd put it on, take photos with it, and then that would be my only intentions of using it, would be those 2 intentions. Would be like photos and in a video, but I cannot see this having great longevity throughout the day. That's not to say that there aren't dewy things that have really great longevity that make it throughout the whole day. It does say you can use it on the lips as well. I'm not going to fuss with a lip palette. I'm just not. I'd rather use a bullet lipstick. I'd rather use a liquid lipstick. I'm not going to reach into a palette to apply my lipstick. So sometimes I have delusions. I'll see a lip palette that I think is very pretty, and I think that I could be that person. I can't. Westman Atelier just re-released a like nude version of their lip palette, and I thought, I could be that girl. I can't. I'm not. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. This is not who I am. I'm not carrying that compact around. Anyway, I guess like if someone bought these and I already watched their content, I would like watch it just to see what they think of it. But I'm not seeking out reviews on this because it doesn't look like a product that I need to have. This is the last thing I'd like to discuss with you. It is from Kimchi. It is from Kimchi Chic Beauty. It's a whole collection, but there are 2 palettes. There is the boyfriend palette and the girlfriend palette. Okay, and they are shaped. They look huge, and I understand that person is holding it in their palm. I mean, just like dimension wise, like if it's not a palette that I can put in my drawer and line up with all of my other palettes in like sleek, slim packaging, I don't want it. This is one of those things where it has become too cutesy for me. If I was a person who kept my makeup on my vanity, I wouldn't hate this as much, but as someone who likes to store my makeup and put it in a drawer, and I have enough makeup where that this wouldn't make sense to me to like keep it out, that's nothing to me. Also, the variations in size of pan in the eyeshadows, like this is just like it is so overwhelming to look at. There's so much of some shades, so little of other shades, all for the sake of just the packaging. And then beyond that, there are face products inside of the packaging, which then leads you down to this. So it does appear that the blue one is supposed to be a little bit more colorful, while the pink one is basic neutrals with some mauves in it for color. But to me, when I look at the face powders in both of these, hi, it's editing me. So I get things a little bit mixed up. So I was talking about the face powders in the top part of the bear when you flip them open. Now that I'm re-looking at it, in the pink bear, the blushes seem more suited for deeper skin tones. In the blue bear, the blushes seem more suited for lighter skin tones. However, in the pink palette, the highlights seem more suited for a lighter complexion, and in the blue palette, the colors seem more suited for a deeper complexion. And so I'm very confused about that, because at least if the face powders were consistent, like the blue one had all powders for deeper skin tones for the face, and then you know what I mean? But that isn't what happened. And now I'm like, do they just come as a set? Because I cannot figure this out for the life of me, because it just like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Oh, I hate this release so much. I really do. The face powder in the blue one definitely seems to be for a lighter skin tone. And then the face colors inside of the pink bear are absolutely, they look like they would fare better on deeper skin tones. So while people with fairer skin can definitely make deeper blushes and things work for them, it does not work the other way around. So essentially what you are doing is forcing your clients and your customers who have deeper skin that would want to use the entire palette to buy the pink one, but that has the more boring shades. So you're forcing them to be able to only use these browns and mauves, whereas people with lighter skin get to have more options with like a pinks and purples and blues inside of their eyeshadow palette, because the face palette will work for them in this one. So I just hate that. That's the problem you run into when you start having face products inside of an eyeshadow palette. Whereas like an eyeshadow palette can be a little bit more diverse and work for people across many different skin tones, the face palette now makes this exclusionary. I don't like, because it is cutesy, I think that the fact that you can decorate your bear with the stickers is cute. However, and I'm not trying to take the whimsy out of anyone who is this person. I'm not doing that, but me, and I'm not saying that people who are in their 30s cannot be whimsical, but as a 30-year-old who has an aesthetic that is a little bit more fierce, a little more glam, this is just like a nightmare product for me. It's such a nightmare. I hate it. Feels like Claire's makeup. It does. It just looks like it. It feels like it. I have used some Kimchi products in the past. Not a fan of them. And I do think that Kimchi is an incredible drag performer and an incredible makeup artist. I really wish the brand was a little more performance and a little bit more thoughtful about performance and storage things, because the first eyeshadow palette that was released from Kimchi Chic was like enormous. It was so big. It was clunky. It was thick. It was really hard to fit places. And so this also is clunky. And so, yeah. So this is, I just think Kimchi's brand isn't for me, which is sad, but also like this, I'm really turned off by the idea of this. Okay. That wraps up today's video. I thank you all so much for watching. If you are new here and you made it to the end of the video, I would love to have you subscribe. It's free. Go ahead and like this video. It's also free. And I am also on Patreon, as I said earlier. No pressure to go there, but if you did want to support me there, it's linked down below. Before I sign off completely, I do want to talk a little bit about the relaunch of my podcast, Recollect, which I do with my friend Tiffany. We were a Patreon only podcast for a while because we had done another podcast and that was like our Patreon content, but we are no longer doing the podcast that was free for the time being. So we have decided to make our Patreon podcast a public podcast. It's going to be a Spotify exclusive. So I will link that down below in its own section, not even in the link tree, just so it's a little bit easier to find. Go ahead and subscribe to us there on Spotify. You should be able to listen to it even if you're not a premium member. Recollect is a podcast where we take a look at compiled lists of music. So oftentimes they're a countdown, but sometimes we will dive into an album that is a compilation album, like a Now CD or something like that. And we basically go track by track, song by song, listen to the song, talk about whether or not the songs are good. So sometimes we go back to the 90s or the 80s or the early thousands, and then sometimes we bring it more modern too. So it's just like it's like a retrospective on music, but we keep it very light. We're not music journalists. It's very fun. I will also link our Instagram down there. When episodes release, you can also choose to bop or stop the songs on our Instagram stories. So I'll link that down below too. It's a lot of fun. It's just we get the giggles. We have so much fun doing. That's gonna start coming out on February 2nd. So I'd love to see you there and support me there if that's something you were interested in hearing more content from me that maybe isn't makeup wise and like leans more into some of my other interests. That'd be very cool. Again, all of my information is linked down below. If you want to follow me on Instagram, that's down there as well. But remember to follow your haute. You will find me. I appreciate you again for watching this video. I will see you in my next one. Bye, friends.